My name's Eddie Page. Some of you have probably never heard of me, but there's a lot out there that has. I'm going to be giving you an introduction today to things that most people think they might know about, well, unidentified flying objects. Disclosure. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm retired now, but for a long time I worked for the federal government. 12 years in the Marine Corps as a Marine Corps aviator, and then going to work with the fine boys in Langley, Virginia. Anybody that knows what Langley, Virginia is, you know who I was working for. But those who don't, the Central Intelligence Agency. But I didn't just work for the Central Intelligence Agency per se. I worked with inside a group within a group. It was known as the Aquarius Project. Project Zingo. It was headed up and led by former President Gerald Ford. And certain U.S. presidents knew about this going all the way back to, well, Harry S. Truman. That might ring a bell because he was the president when the Roswell event happened. But without jumping ahead, I'll tell you about the Roswell. But working and seeing things that people only speculated, but yet the federal government denied for years. And even today, they're still denying certain parts of it. I'm going to tell you about my life as a child, how I got here, why I got here, and I'm going to try to carry it in a chronological order. Project Aquarius within Project Zingo. Zingo meant Zion is now getting organized. And I'm going to tell you who Zion was. In fact, you're looking at one of them. But it goes a little bit further than just some alphabet names and stuff. And we will cover a lot of this because there was actually 32 of us involved with this. And I'll tell you who these 32 were. Project Aquarius was the most secretive, conductive, I don't like to say experiment, but grouping of people that has ever took place within the confines of this nation. And there was some others within outside the confines of this nation that were involved. I will name them also, and we will basically just go ahead and tell you right now. The Catholic Church. Who knew? Who was involved? What were they saying? And what were they denying? So on that note, as you can see, I'm in my office. I have books here. I mean, I have a couple thousand books, but I also have research books. And to show you one of the most important research books I have, we will look at this right here. You can see that. The page history, Zingo. It's quite thick, as you can see. I have all kind of documents in here that I'm going to share with you. Documents that, well, people have never seen until now. And I have told a lot of my close friends, I'm not here to convince you of who I am. I'm just here to show you who I am and who we are. And the knowledge that is pertained within this book is also pertained within every one of us. For the simple reason is, we have lived it multiple times, to be exact. So let's get started. Let's get started. My adoption. I was born January 8th, 1953, down in Florida. I was born at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I weighed just a tad over 2.5 pounds. Was I a preemie to normal medical standards? I guess I was a preemie. And most people didn't think I would live to see the next day. But I'm here to tell you all about it. I'm a healthy man, 65 years of age, so I guess I survived my first test of return. My early years, I knew things, I saw things, and I was visited quite frequently. But back to my adoption. My mother, my birth mother, I would never get to see her for 30 years because abruptly I was taken away from her at about 3 weeks of age and given to a host family to raise, which took place. I'm not going to say nothing bad about my host family. They did give me a home. They treated me well. I lived under some strict circumstances at times, but that's part of growing up. But certain elements within my growing up was quite strange that they couldn't understand. So I had a lot of doctors that watched me. I was visited often as a child. And when I say visited, by medical doctors, ministers from various different faiths, to include the Catholic Church. And they always treated me good. But at 2 years of age, not only was I walking and talking, and I'm not talking that I was saying babble that a young toddler would say. No, I was saying and pronouncing words, just like you and I are communicating right now. I was writing my name at 2 years of age. Was it scribbly? No. I was writing things that I knew, things that I would see, just things that was given to me. It could come to me in a vision, it could come to me in a dream, or I read it and I embraced it, whatever I was doing at the time. Many doctors that were involved stated that I was way beyond my knowledge of a child of my age, of normal upbringing. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but eventually as I got older, I would understand and I would learn. During my growing up to about the time I became 11, 12, we would go to a facility out west. I didn't know where this facility was. We'd go out there sometime twice times a year. And there was always these other kids there. I didn't know who these other kids were per se. I thought they were just, why am I here anyway? Well, yeah, I'm here to color and play games and see songs and talk to the nice people in the white coats. I wasn't the only one. There was 32 of us. I was the 33rd one. But there was 2 boys there that was older. Now, about 7 years older than the rest of us. And I had trouble identifying them at times. They were twins. And they would play with us. They would watch us and they would help us embrace things that were, well, let's just say, normal children might have trouble understanding. We did understand it. The doctors even verified this. It could be math problems, it could be science problems, biblical problems, but we knew the answers, and these 2 boys helped us not only understand what we were saying, but to gather in all of us as one collective, that we were something different than normal people. I don't ask people to believe what I'm telling you, but trust me, I have the evidence. And this evidence, well, let's go right here. I will show you this, because there's some things out there that says I was born on January 8th, 1954. And that's because, well, this big evidence that I've been telling you about was supposed to be a secret. Nobody except the immediate ones were to know, including some of the host family. But if you can see this right here, you can see that right there. And we'll turn this over. There you go. There's my birth date. What makes this birth date document, and that, by the way, this was given to me by my biological mother, my birth mother. she took it right out of the family Bible. She knew who I was. And I'm not going to go in there because my mother has passed away now. She's went home. But she was pretty distraught because they had taken me away from her. There was a process of reasoning why that. But the people that raised me, and we'll just call them who they are, the Colemans, I won't mention no names further than that, you just know them as the Colemans, took me, and the man that sold me to them got $50. It was witnessed. But all these things, when I eventually came to the agency, the CIA, in 1982, I was told I was adopted, and I was allowed to see things that they already knew. Things I wrote as a child, premonitions I had, the visitations that I was having, not from the ministers or the doctors, from people from beyond this world's confines, people that I was a child of. And we'll get into that as we go along. But all this stuff here we go. The page, History Heritage, if you can see that. And then here we go, the history of the page name. You can see that. Well, what does this all mean? Well, I've never seen my birth certificate, but I did have a copy of the birth record. And the man that was one of the men that studied me, if you'll see right there, we'll see right here, a Dr. Elliot Thornton. Who was this doctor? Well, he was curious about us to start with because he had been informed and educated by the Catholic Church. It seems that the Catholic Church knew that we were coming a long time before we arrived, including the announcement of the twins' arrival first. And I will discuss that in the Roswell incident. So as we go forward, we'll take a little break. Go get you something to drink, get you something to eat. And those who are like me, well, yeah, I do have the habit. It's not a bad habit. It could be worse. There's worse things. But we will stop right here. And when we come back, I'll tell you all about the Roswell incident, what happened, why it happened. This is Disclosure 101. And don't think that I'm the only one in this boat. There's several others with me right now. And we're all rowing to one shore and one shore only. And that is the revealing of who our Father is. Because at the end of this disclosure, not only are you going to know who our Father is, He's your Father too. And He is coming back.